I think the Chamorro language, like all languages, it carries a lot of culture. It really does. And it can be very unifying. I think we need to have a critical mass of speakers for this language to continue. I think we've seen degradation, a lessening of the vocabulary. There's a lot of problems, the same problems I've experienced, diaspora people will experience, and now that same thing's happening here, even in 𝚤𝚗 with so many other people coming in, and English being such a predominant language, it's harder and harder to feel comfortable speaking Chamorro.
My experience for me growing up speaking Chamorro was very, it's bare, like, or rare. Like my dad would speak it, so it's kind of hard sometimes to understand him, but when he did, when we did see him, it was just like hard to get.
I think that our language is the gift that gets passed down from our ancestors, and I agree with him on that. But I also think that languages open us up to new ways of thinking or experiencing the world, new ways to relate to each other, to theorize and enact new possibilities for our future. I think 𝚑𝚑𝚗𝚗𝚑 is a great example of that being implemented on the island, for instance.
So why I'm trying to learn to speak Chamorro as an adult now is because I think for so long I made a lot of excuses about why I couldn't, or why it wasn't a good idea, or why it was too hard. And even though it is going to be hard, I realized that it's something that is really, really important. Like, I feel a responsibility to be learning Chamorro.
Ayade, like those phrases, or nene. My father actually didn't learn Chamorro, and that was something his parents decided not to do because they were made fun of for their accent when they were trying to learn English. And so they just didn't pass it down to their kids. And then he was simultaneously made fun of for not knowing it because he's a Muffness.
Once we know how to speak, we can speak. We can speak at family gatherings. We can teach others. We can ignite the passion in others that we don't even know that's there in our family, that they may want to do that as well. And it's hard. It's hard to be in Sanlagu and try to speak Chamorro. And so for somebody that wants it so bad like me, to find it hard, we need to be able to provide that for our relatives who may not have the capacity to look that far ahead.
The language means everything to me. Someone who did not grow up speaking the language, it's magical, and I can't believe that I'm learning it. I didn't believe that I would learn it. And so when you are born, that's the very first thing you do is communicate. So I feel more whole. It's part of my identity, and it's a gift for me.
I started learning Chamorro officially in when the 2020 pandemic put everything online, and I started taking 𝚑𝚑𝚗𝚗𝚑's class. I did initially try to teach myself Chamorro when I was in high school. This would be like an early 2000s search engine kind of thing. I basically found a list of phrases that was literally one piece of paper long. I love how pernicious we are as Indigenous people. It's so lovely to see that weedy quality of the language, how hard it is to actually get rid of it. It is actually incredibly hard. They have been dedicated. The campaign was very thorough to remove this language. And I hope that we replace that sense of oh, it's so gone, it's so lost, to being no, we are the gardeners of this language.
In this journey, we've learned so much about the history of the Chamorros and how colonization just broke us. It separated the Northern Marianas from Guam. It took us away from the canoes on the water. We lost our chants. We lost our songs. We lost our dance. our rituals. We lost so much, but so the language is one of the last things that we still have.
If this is the place that the language is from, then we should be speaking it, regardless of whatever your ethnicity is, like whether or not your family is from here, which mine is not. I just feel like it's important for all of us to be able to contribute to keeping it alive.
In our Inafresi, we were asked to protect the language. And so we cannot forget that we have to protect everything else, from our beliefs of our people, our culture, our air, our land, our water. And so I feel like the Chamorro people, how strong we are, and the fact that we have never given up is just showing that we have to continue every time, so there is no end.
My parents, I didn't know that they weren't allowed to speak Chamorro. They didn't really share that with me. It was important for you to just learn English. I now know later that that was what was forced upon them, that your kids are not going to be, unless they succeed as being an American, as being in America, and if they're being educated in America, then that's what they need to be.
I also think I want us to stop saying that there was a loss of language, because loss indicates that there was some sort of accidental thing happen. It was a contrived theft. So I hope that we start telling the story differently, that we did not lose our language, that it was taken from us, and that it is essentially ours, and that we determine its future.
For me, engaging Chamorro as a daily practice and connecting with others is returning to the home in your body as well as in the world. It's just intimate connection that you can have with yourself as well as other people. And to me, I think that's one of the most profound pieces of violence of colonization, is the severing of our relationality to each other.
The hardest thing about learning Chamorro for me has been, I think, just a basic shyness. I don't like to speak, because when I was young, if you didn't speak it right, you were teased. And I think it's also harder for me because I'm pretty much a light-skinned Chamorro, being half Swedish, and that's hard on a young man. Now I don't care. I really don't care at all. I'm not going to let people define me. So now I have no excuses of not speaking up. I have to face the fact that I'm lazy. I need to learn my vocabulary. I've got a good foundation. I just need more words.
Chamorro language is everything. When I think about what it means to be a Chamorro person, language comes first for me. And I feel like there's so much that we can learn about ourselves as Chamorro people through our language. There's so much that informs the way we understand the world around us and the way the world understands us through our language. For example, I have my older child is gender expansive, is non-binary, and so it felt like such a beautiful gift to tell them that there's a pronoun in the Chamorro language that includes you, where in English there isn't one. And that's a gift from our people to my child, and it's a way in which they can see each other and see themselves and feel seen by people who share their identity.
For me, it's been seeing all of us in the group that are wanting to learn and wanting to further our journey of it. That's one. And then the second one is seeing the kids at 𝚠𝚗𝚗𝚗 that are so involved and so excited about learning. It's been super inspirational for me.
What would you say to someone
not yet started their language learning journey?
I think what I would say to someone who wants to learn Chamorro is that you are Chamorro enough to learn your language.
Again, I would encourage anyone to prepare as much as possible to come, because the having elders speak directly to you and not know what they're saying was broke my heart a little bit, but it's okay, because it inspired me to continue to learn.
But what I've learned from this is it takes the baby steps. So be willing to take the baby steps and the language will come, and just keep practicing.
I miss the sound of the language. It's beautiful. It reminds me of being on the floor, underneath the table, while everybody's playing cards or smoking, really. We're trying to get some good air, but also not being noticed.
The Chamorro language was a small part of the texture of my life growing up. It wasn't it didn't like play a significant role in my upbringing, and it wasn't until I started studying in 2020 that the language started to become alive for me.
I looked for books by my grandmother because Senor Maguette had told me that, you know, have you seen this book? Have you seen this book? And I found about 10 books. And one of them was from 1948, and it has a drawing of a canoe that she did in 1948. And there's the goosebumps again. It's like she reached across and touched me. And it's like we're on the same path and I didn't even know it. So that's why this whole thing has just been, it's a life-changing thing at this late part of our lives.
For what we have left.
First, it's never too late to start. I mean, gosh, I wish I could have gone to 𝚑𝚘, and I wish I could have been learning since I was a kid, but I didn't. So it was hard to make that decision. And I mean, all your fears are totally justifiable. I mean, that's how you feel. It's daunting to have to make the trip all the way out here and to commit yourself and to experience this, but it's so worth it. And while you're giving up a lot to be here, you're gaining like 1,000,000 times more. Just by being here, by being a part of the culture, by being a part of this program, by being on island, connecting with our land and connecting with our people. It's just so worth all the effort and all the sacrifice that it takes to get here. And if you're needing support and you're needing help trying to make the decision to come out here, reach out to anyone. Reach out to Dr. Maguette, reach out to your family members, reach out to people in this program, because every single person will tell you that you're welcome here and that they want you to be a part of their journey as well.
What has inspired me, I think, the most was the first day of orientation and how everyone just felt so free and they were able to share their stories. Each story was very unique. Everyone had their own story. We were all here for one reason, but to hear and get a sense of the reasons why everyone was here, I thought was very beautiful, and it just set the tone for the rest of the trip. So I think that was really important and just opened the door to allow us to heal and be together.
Yeah, it felt like being hidden, like having so much hidden from view for your whole life, and then all of a sudden, not only is it visible, but it's like has a stage and it's putting on a show for you. And so that level of inspiration, like if I never came to Guam ever again, which is absolutely not going to happen, I'm coming back here in 6 months, I swear to God, I would still take this imagery with me. I'd still take these experiences with me, and I would know that we exist. That can't be taken away from me anymore.